If you're anything like me, you're probably an overthinker. Here are some of my best tips about cruise etiquette to make your first cruise a breeze. Hi, AJ here from Byte Size Cruises. Today I wanted to cover some common etiquette questions that I get from my neurodivergent friends and family when they're preparing to go on their first cruise so that they know what to expect. Some of the do's and don'ts that may not be so obvious off the bat. So, starting out, chair hogs. Now, if you've been watching my channel or John's channel for a while, you know chair hogs are not our favorite people. And I know that a lot of my friends and family have picked up on that and they're worried about being a chair hog. And here is the simple rule when it comes to chairs. If you're in it, you're fine. You don't have to worry about taking it up for too long as long as you're enjoying it. What you don't want to be is that person who comes up, puts their stuff down at 6:30 in the morning, and then they don't come back to the chair until 10 a.m. That is hogging a chair. But if you need to get up and use the bathroom, or if you're planning to be there and you just want to sit next to the pool while you're reading and getting that book that you've been had on your TBR pile for a while done, that's totally fine. My suggestion is to find a quiet, comfy place where you get the sun that you want, you're good, you're set up, have a drink with you, and just enjoy yourself while you're in the chair. If you do have to use the bathroom, make sure that you do have something inexpensive with you that you can leave in your on the chair to mark it that it is occupied, and it's totally fine to get up and use the bathroom and come back. Or ask a neighbor who might be sitting nearby, maybe you've exchanged a few words with, if they don't mind watching your stuff for a second. The good news is your stuff can't go far on a cruise ship, and usually if you've brought the attention to someone around you, they're more than willing to watch it while you're going to the bathroom. Um, and that's really, really totally okay. The only time where you really need to worry is if you're going to be gone longer than like 10 minutes. Sometimes bathroom trips take a little longer than we expect. However, if you're going to the buffet to get food or something like that, and you're not going to come right back, take your stuff with you. It is nice to the people around you. If you're going to be gone more than 10 minutes, to maybe take your stuff with you and then find a new seat when you come back. The official rule is a half an hour, but nobody really follows it except on a couple of cruise lines. You do see more and more now with NCL and MSC and a few of the other lines where the attendants are starting to move stuff past that half hour mark. But generally speaking, around that 10 minutes of being gone is okay. You just don't want to leave anything super expensive laying there or having someone watch your stuff. If you're really worried about it, you can set a timer where you think it's reasonable for occupying maybe a prime spot. Maybe you have that perfect shady spot that everybody's jealous of, or a specialty chair like a hammock chair or something like that where you don't want to deprive someone of it for too long and you want to be a nice person. Then you absolutely can set a small timer for yourself. Sometimes I find that useful anyway, so I don't spend too much time reading when I'm supposed to be doing other things. Next up, Bluetooth speakers. Are they okay? Probably not. So this is another one of my big pet peeves and John's as well. If you're in a public space, there's usually music playing anyway. If you want to wear headphones, totally fine. Really support that. I wear headphones everywhere when I'm by myself on the cruise. I'm usually listening to an audiobook while I'm walking around, maybe some music, something that helps keep me calm when I'm alone in a crowded space. However, nobody else wants to hear your music. I don't care if you think you have the best taste in the world. I don't care if you're a world-renowned party DJ. Nobody wants to hear your music. Leave the Bluetooth speaker in your room. If you want to use it in your room or your suite, that's fine. But you should not be out on the pool deck with a Bluetooth speaker. You should not be walking the halls with a Bluetooth speaker. That is a big no-no. I know that a couple cruise lines have already banned Bluetooth speaker in public spaces. I am a big proponent of that. If you want to listen to your own music, get some headphones. There's share play now for families. If you want to all listen to the same music on your headphones, um, put them in transparency mode. If you want to hear what's going on around you and still listen to your own music, that's only annoying to you. Don't don't do it to the rest of us, especially if you like explicit music. There have been more than one cruise ship where there have been kids around and people are listening to really explicit music on a Bluetooth speaker. Don't do that. Next up, sitting in unconventional spaces. Mainly the stairs is what I'm going to talk about. So, on some cruise ships, there's not a ton of spaces everywhere for you to sit down. And so you might be tempted to sit on the stairs or on the edge of a plant or in a windowsill. And really, it's not okay. Um, Nobody is going to come and yell at you as far as staff goes. There's no like official rule about not sitting on the stairs. But more than once, I have almost tripped over people on the stairs because I'm in a hurry getting somewhere. And I'm coming down and I don't really see them at first. Also, you are blocking the flow of traffic by sitting on the stairs. And then it's also not like it's not safe for you. It's not safe for the people coming down the stairs. It's really annoying. Um, but then also, like some of those other places I mentioned, people sitting, I've seen people sitting on the edge of plants, I've seen them sitting on windowsills, and things break. Um, if you really can't go that long without sitting, I do recommend bringing something with you that you can sit on. And obviously, if it's an emergency, you need to sit where you need to sit. But in general, if you can't be on your feet that long, I would consider renting a scooter or traveling with one of the collapsible stools that can double as a cane or the walkers, something like that. Um, the ships are very accessible for accessibility tools. No one's going to be upset with you for using an accessibility tool, but the stairs, plants, the middle of the floor, not great places to sit. And I say this as I have a kid who is a plop in the middle of the floor person where he just gets tired and he just sits down because why not? Um, don't do that. It really is a safety hazard. Next up, navigating around the ship without being rude. A lot of the hallways are narrow. So this was something where I wasn't quite sure. I kind of misstepped a few times my first few cruises because I'm not a small person. And then you add on the narrow hallways, you want to make sure that you're being polite. So the rules that I use, these are not hard and fast rules. This is just how I go. One, stay to the right side of the ship as much as possible. That way, when you're walking down the hallway, um, following the rules of the road, basically. And then if I'm on the right side of the ship and someone's coming towards me and the door, like if there's no doors on the right side, but there are on the left, then it's that person's job to get out of the way. If I'm coming and there's doors on my side of the hallway, I will step into the doorway and let the other person pass. Now, the one time where this rule is I just get out of the way is if it's a family with a stroller or somebody with a mobility aid. I will 100% always step out of the way there, and kind of just get myself into one of those alcoves. Very rarely do I have to backtrack or anything like that to get out of the way, but it's just nice to kind of give people that leeway, let them pass, and have a nice little hello, how are you as they go by. Um, this is especially true when the housekeepers are out and they have their carts in the hallway. It makes it almost impossible to get by without stepping into those alcoves to begin with. So just keep that in mind, to be aware of your surroundings and look for people coming down the hall. You do need to be very cognizant in those hallways because they are so tight. And just like I said, follow the rules of the road, stick to the right, or duck into a doorway if you can. And then also there is a lot of really great signage around the ship, but it can get very confusing, and I would never be afraid to ask a staff worker um, which direction you need to go. And that is basically for the room hallways. If you are in a public space, it's kind of the rules kind of go out the window. I do try to make sure I'm not bumping into people, sticking to the right as much as I can. But sometimes there's just no option and you're kind of dodging and weaving. A quick excuse me to someone, it goes a long way. But a lot of times it is a bit of a dodge and weave. If you are not great in tight spaces when they're full of people. That is something I really struggle with. I do recommend planning your pathways. So there are times where I will go up a floor to a floor with rooms on it so that I can go down a quiet hallway as opposed to trying to squeeze through a public place in a, that's really crowded at the time. So like I will avoid the movie theater. I will avoid the theater as shows are letting out, or stay off the pool deck on a particularly sunny sea day, and just kind of navigate as best as I can in all alternate paths. And I do look for those. That's one of the big things that I do kind of on my first day, is figure out where people tend to pool and dodge around that. So, like a great example is MSC Maravilia. I will typically, instead of walking through their like promenade area, go up a floor to where the balcony overlooks it, because that tends to be quieter. I just want to take a second, pause here, and ask that you please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 by the end of the year. Not looking great. So if you could help me out by hitting the subscribe button, that would be awesome. And also, if you like this video, so more people who maybe don't know what to do can feel more confident in cruising, that would be awesome. All right, let's get back to it. Next up, tipping. This is a big question. Where do you tip? When do you tip? And for the most part, you are not going to be tipping in cash. You absolutely can if you want to. It is not expected for like bartenders. There is a tip built into both the beverage package as well as if you buy them a la carte. So you don't really need to worry about tipping there. I do see people slide, the waiters in the restaurant money. There is an option to tip at the end. Once again, that is on top of the gratuity already built in. So there is for everything you purchase, food and beverage wise, there is a gratuity already built in to the cost. If you feel like your server did a great job and did go above and beyond, you can absolutely add on to that. There is a tip line on anything you sign. You can pass them some cash if you want, but it is not expected. That being said, the one time that I always tip is at teppanyaki, where they're doing the hibachi, because oftentimes my food requires more running because they have to go to a different kitchen to pick it up, since I can't have the eggs and chicken cooked on the grill. So my food is cooked elsewhere for those things, and I tip them because that's extra work that they don't typically have to do. And I just feel like it's a really nice thing as well. Also to keep in mind is tipping your room steward. So this is kind of really up to you and how well you think that they did. You are already charged gratuity for your room, and your room steward does get a good amount of that. So if money is tight and you don't have like 50 extra bucks to throw to your room steward at the end of the week, don't feel terrible. They are getting gratuities that you pay per day. It's really anywhere between $16 and $20 a day at this point. So they're not going without because you didn't, but it is nice, especially if your room steward went above and beyond for you, to throw in that little bit of extra. So for instance, I, had a room steward who made sure I had ice twice a day, and um I had the butler on Meraviglia when we were in the yacht club, who really went above and beyond getting me stuff and making sure that I was comfortable. And those times that I did tip. And then there's other times where I haven't seen my room steward at all. And so that gratuities that I already had went went to them. But like I didn't even meet my room steward on one cruise. And, it was not a great room steward experience. And in that case, I don't. So they are getting gratuities whether or not you leave cash, but it is a nice thing to do if they have really excelled. The last specific thing I want to touch on is the buffet and the etiquette at the buffet. The buffet is chaos. So one, if chaos is overwhelming to you, I would stick to the main dining rooms, or the buffet in off times. But if, because the buffet has the food that you prefer, that is where you want to eat, and you can't do off times, how do you make the best of it? One, it is going to be loud, so keep that in mind, but you are going to have to be aware of your surroundings, because people and children are going to be dodging in and out. So you go to what I normally do is I do one loop to see where the food I want is. Then I go to that line, you get in line, you grab your plate. It is just like any other buffet. You do not bring your dirty plate back. You use one plate, get all the food you want, go sit down and eat. If you want more, you can get up and go get more. While you're up there, do not cross-contaminate with tongs. You keep your tongs in one single place. and go forward. Pretty standard buffet there. Where the kind of etiquette comes in is, one, you are not going to be able to stick to the right or the left. You are going to have to kind of go with the flow of traffic. It is also probably going to be hard to find a place to sit. If you are traveling with people, I highly suggest that you guys find the place to sit first. Someone sits down, holds the table while everybody else goes get food, and you take turns doing that. That keeps you from doing the look around while carrying a plate of food. If you are traveling by yourself, sometimes you can find a little seat somewhere tucked in. And if you are able to, if it's not something that makes you too nervous, if there is a table that has a couple people at it and some empty space at the end and you are comfortable, you can always ask, is anybody sitting here? Do you mind if I sit down to eat? Um, for the most part, you're going to be met with a, yeah, no problem. There are like community table like areas throughout most of the cruise lines where it's like a counter or somewhere where you can kind of sit down as a solo person there, um, and then eat your food. Don't put back to that chair hogging at the first one. Don't post up in the buffet to like sit and relax during the peak times. You do kind of want to keep your meal between 15 minutes and 30 minutes, depending on how much you're eating. And if you are done, make sure that you clean up and leave. Also on the buffet, wash your hands. Wash them. Not Purell, not hand sanitizer. Wash them. The number one thing you are most likely to get on a cruise ship is the neurovirus. You are most likely to get it in the buffet. And so if you are eating there, wash your hands. Soap and water, the full 20 seconds, scrub them down. Purell hand sanitizer does not kill neurovirus. You need soap and water. And that is just etiquette for everyone. If, you know, it's a safety thing, but also it is polite to not get other people sick. If you go over to a table that is empty and it is not sorry. If you go over to a table that is empty and it has not been wiped down yet, um, they will be coming over soon, and if they see you sit down, they may come over and ask you if they can wipe down the table real quick. You should let them, unless you're going to travel with your own wipes and wipe the table down yourself, but they are using stuff to kill viruses on the table. Also, the buffet is not a safe place for any kind of 5-second rule, even on the table. Just if it falls off your plate, it's done, it's out, leave it. And yeah, those are the big ones. Something that I want to stress is that everybody working on that ship is super nice. I've met like 5 grumpy staff members in the entire time I've been cruising. If you need help, they want to help. They want you to have a good time. They want good feedback. So a lot of times the cruise ships really incentivize their names being put on the surveys as having provided a good time to the passengers. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Um, they're there to help you. They're there to make sure that you're having a good time. Now, obviously, they are not there to be your personal servant, but if you need help, if you're lost, if you're unsure, you can ask them and they are more than willing to help you. A tip, if you do need help and you're worried about either being understood or understanding the person you're speaking to, I know that if you have an audio processing disorder, sometimes accents can be really hard. I will say that in my experience, I do have an audio processing disorder. I always say my biggest thing is going to be when smart glasses gets closed captioning for conversations. I'm going to be so happy. I will say that the people who come to take your drink order when you're out by the pool, or the bartenders or your wait staff, are the people to talk to. They tend to have the most experience in talking with passengers. So outside of like guest services or the shop people. So they are the people to kind of talk to if you need help and you're worried about that. Um, and that's kind of my little tip there. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. Everybody there is super helpful and wants to help you out and wants to make sure you have a good time. But really, a cruise vacation is something that you should be looking forward to, not dreading. Don't overthink it. I say, as someone who overthinks everything, um, you're going to do great. If you're watching this video because you're worried about accidentally being rude, chances are you're going to be one of the most polite people on the ship. Yeah, what other unknown situations? I know I'm working now on a safety video about knowing how to know where like your life jackets are, the lifeboats are, what to do in an emergency, things like that. I'm working on that video coming up soon. But what other questions do you have? What other unknowns can I kind of demystify for you? I would love to do that. And yeah, that's everything I have for today. I hope you found this video useful, and I will see you next time.